Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. I've got an Xbox One X here, which I'm going to put an SSD into. So that's this fella here. It's got this really cool, I don't know if this is a wrap or a limited edition cover or what, but it's got the Project Scorpio thing on it there and it just looks really nice. The Xbox tends to be a bit of a black box and this one is a really cool cover. I like it. Anyway, we're going to start off around the back for this. So let me just lift the camera up. And we've got to take off these two rear screws here, and then the top case is going to come off. So one of the screws is hidden behind a little, I assume that's a warranty sticker. Warranties do not concern me, so I shall peel that off. And then we've got a couple of Torx screws, which are T12s, I think. They're answering to my T10. These are pretty stiff, these guys. There we go, that's one. And there's the other. And as soon as I've removed those two, this top cover has just completely come loose. And that will just lift off from the right-hand side with the front of the console facing you. So we'll just ease that off. What's holding me up on the other side there? Oop. And you just need to wiggle off. There we go. So that gets us into the top of the console. Now we need to remove this front board here. And we're going to drop a screw size now. We're going down to T8, I think. And before I lift this guy away, we've just got to detach this little ribbon cable here. So this is a locking connector. So I'm just going to use some tweezers just to flick up the white part of the connector. You can also use a fingernail. And we can just pull the ribbon out from under it. Oop. There we go. That's all right. And this guy should come off now, I think. Something holding me up. Yep, just a board interconnect there that just pulls out. Tantalizingly, we can see the hard drive just through this top cover here, but we're still a long ways away from being able to get to it. Imagine if it was that easy. So now I'm going to start removing top screws. We need to remove all of the squared off ones. So the screws that have rounded heads, we're not taking those out yet. We're taking off the ones that are flat on the top. And I believe these are T10. Yes, they are. So I'm going to start taking these out. And then lastly, I've got to get these two guys down here. Oh, those are T8s. And this is actually a connector down here, which we need to now pop off. So just bring this round. And I'm just going to take a prying tool. And I'm just going to scooch that just a little bit under. And just give that a flick like that. That's it. And off it pops. So you'll notice that this guy is actually a connector. So when you put your prying tool under there, you don't want to dig in too deep. You just need to go to the edge and just give that just a little flick and that'll pop out. So now we've taken out all those long boy screws. When we turn the console over, just being careful not to do any damage to this guy over here, we can now take off the bottom case. That guy should wiggle his way off. There we go. And that'll take that ribbon and this press connector with it. And now we've got two more screws on the underside. One of them is another T10 and the other one is a T8. I think I just used my T8 on both of them. Yeah, oh well. And I believe we can now remove the bottom case. Is that ready to go? Yep, here it comes. Again, just giving that a little bit of a wiggle. Here we go. Good. And now we're almost there. The hard drive is now underneath the DVD drive, Blu-ray drive, the disk drive. So we've got to take this guy out. This is now loose, so I'm just going to lift this up to one side, and then we can get to where the cables plug in. And you know, actually, I think it's going to be easier to detach the cables from the back of the drive there, so I'm going to do that. So I'm going to use my prying tool again, just to get behind the SATA connector on the back of that and just flick him out. And the power cable, I can just pull that out as well. And there is our hard drive that is coming out. So I'll just disconnect the wires for that, 1 and 2. And we've got some screws holding this on, so if I flip this guy over again, we can now take these guys out, and that's going to drop the hard drive. And those are T10. Whoop. And there is our hard drive. So to get that off of this mount, we've got another 4 screws around the inside, which are also T10. So I'll take those off. And finally, I'll just pull off this power connector, or power and data connector rather, from the back. And that is the bare hard drive. So this is a Seagate 1 terabyte, which is coming out. Now this drive isn't actually faulty on this console. I don't think so anyway. We're just doing an upgrade to make it faster. SSDs in consoles are amazing by modern standards. Different games respond differently to them. Some games won't care about an SSD, whereas there are other games that love having an SSD. Obviously, on the brand new generation consoles, SSDs make the world of difference in those. So I can imagine that, you know, moving forward, more and more modern games will appreciate having an SSD in the console. So the SSD that I'm going to be putting into this thing is a Crucial MX500, 1 terabyte. This is a very common mainstream 2.5-inch SATA SSD. So I like these ones a lot. The MX500 is one of the best all-around 2.5-inch drives. It's not the fastest. If you want the fastest, you want to have a look at the Samsung Evo drives. However, this guy will be significantly cheaper and will be 99% as fast as the Samsung is. It's not worth paying extra. So we're going to drop this guy in. This guy is your best bang for buck, in my opinion. It is also an option to fit a 2 terabyte SSD to these drives as well. However, given the fact that these drives are now effectively obsolete or made obsolete by the fact that we now have the Series S and the Series X, it's up to you how much money you want to spend. It's just a matter of how much you want to spend on an SSD, basically. In any case, this is the drive that I'm putting in. So this is brand new out the packet, as you just saw. I have not formatted this. I have not initialized this. I've not done anything to this drive at all. We're going to drop it straight into the console. And when we do the software setup, that is going to do all of the work for us. So I'm just going to put this in as is. So we'll just mount this up on the drive plate and put these screws back in. There is also some debate over whether you're better off putting an SSD in an external USB 3 enclosure and using that. And that will also get you sort of similar kind of performance if you don't mind having an external drive on your console. Arguably, the external drive could go faster. I don't know about the Xbox One X. However, some of the other Xbox consoles, they are limited to SATA 2 internal speeds, which would bottleneck a drive like this. This is a SATA 3 drive, which can run up to about 550 megabytes per second. SATA 2 tops out around 250 or so. However, the speed of an SSD is not just its sequential transfer speed, which is the big number. The speed of an SSD is the seek time on it and its random 4K operations. And that means how long it takes the drive to respond to find something, and also how well it transfers small files. Because when you transfer small files, you don't get the full speed of the drive. And even if you're limited to SATA 2 at, say, 250 megabits per second, your small operations are going to be down at, like, well, they could be as low as 20 megabytes per second. And if we put things in perspective here, for 4K operations, this hard drive can probably manage maybe 0.2 megabytes per second, while this one will do 20 or 30 megabytes per second. So you can see now from those small transfer numbers that the speed of an SSD is more than just the big sequential read speed. That's just the big headline figure of the drive. However, the feels fast speed is in your 4K operations, and that's where even a peasant tier SSD will seem so much quicker than a hard drive will. Of course, all this varies depending on what you're loading up though, so your mileage may vary, but as I say, if you get people saying, oh no, you should connect it via USB 3, technically they're correct. However, as I say, SSD speed is more than just the big sequential number. Now, before I reassemble the console, I'm going to take this out back and I'm going to hit it with my airline just to blow out all of the dust, because this is a great opportunity to clear all of this dust that's on this thing. I have an air compressor for doing that. However, you could also probably use just a spray duster, just canned air. These bottles of compressed air are pretty bad, to be honest. However, they're fine if that's all you can get your hands on. This will probably do a sufficient job to get the worst of it out, but if you can find a friend who's got an air compressor, that's even better. That's the worst of all the dust taken out. There are some people who would also say you should take this opportunity to take the cooling assembly off and redo all of the thermal paste and stuff like that. I don't think that's worth doing unless you have reason to believe that the thermal paste is knackered. And by that, I mean if you're having overheating problems, basically. This console is not having overheating problems at all. It's a bit dusty, so I've blown out the dust. That's going to drop the temperatures and the noise straight away. If you know your console has got overheating issues, you know, it's been clogged up full of dust, it's been cooking, all the rest of it, then you may want to look that up, but I'm not going to cover that in this video. It's getting a bit off topic. So I'm going to get this drive fitted and we'll start putting screws back in. Right, to put the top cover on, I'm going to place the top cover on the bench, and there are some little holes along the front of it here that correspond to these pegs on the front of the disk drive. So I'm going to lower that guy in and just line him up with those holes. There we go. And when you get it right, it just drops straight in. Dunzo. And now we can put all of these big long boys back through. And this guy will just press on like that. Just a tiny little click just to let you know he's in place. and a couple of T8s to screw that back on. Now our front board can go back on, so we'll just make sure that this ribbon is accessible, and then just gently press in that connector. And we've got our 3 T8s to secure that in place. And just make sure that this connector is still in the open position, so it's up, and then we can just feed this ribbon back in there. Just going to push some of the excess back down into the case. There we go. And once that is in, you should see that black line just lines up with the bottom of the board, and then we can just shut the locking connector, and that's it, he's in. Now to put the top cover on, what I recommend doing is just standing the console up on its back, and then we can bring the top cover around like so. And I'm showing you this angle because when we put the top cover on, we want to angle it in like that, and we need to make sure that these hooks down the side go into these slots here. If you don't get those lined up, it will be a bit of a pig. So let's just get that guy hooked in. There we go. And right, as you can see, I've gone right in deep there, so the hooks are lined up. And now we'll just swing that down. And now over this side, this board is just going into a little cutout there that's designed for it. And that will just hook across. And these hooks on this side are going into their corresponding slots, and it just closes up. And that's it. When you get it right, it will require basically no effort. Now I can flip that over, and we can just drop the screws in the back again. And that's it, that's all the hardware done. So what we'll do now is we need to get the recovery software, we need to make a recovery flash drive, and we can restore all of the system software onto our new SSD and get this thing actually running again. So now we need to download the system software for the Xbox. Now we can't just download the reset tool for this, we need the actual complete offline system update, because there's nothing on the console at all. So I've done a search here for Xbox system software download, and the top hit here is perform an offline system update. So let's click through to that. And this allows us to update our console by downloading a file to a USB flash drive and installing that file directly to our Xbox. And so we're going to need a flash drive with at least 6 GB of storage on it, which I've already got plugged into my PC that I'm sitting on at the moment. So let's download the offline system update file. So, right, plug in your drive, download the file. Interesting. Chrome is giving me a this isn't super safe. We are on the Xbox support website, so I'm going to say keep to that. And that's now downloading a 5.4 GB file. So I'm just going to give that a couple of minutes to download. And now that download is complete, I shall open the zip file, and in it we'll find this folder called $System Update. I'm going to copy that to our flash drive. So I'm just going to right click on that and hit copy. Then I'll go to my USB drive, right click and paste. And we'll just wait for that to copy over now. All right, that is now copied across. So I shall now safely eject my flash drive, because we always safely eject our flash drives. And I've plugged that into the back of the console along with power and HDMI. And now what I need to do is I need to press the pair button, the eject button, and then the power button at the same time. Now this is a bit of an annoying dance, but I put my thumb on the eject, my finger on pair, and then my index is going to press the power button. So I'm going to hold these down, press the power button, and then keep holding them. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. and it just beeped, and I'm going to wait for a second beep. There we go, there's the second beep. And as you can see, we've dropped into troubleshooting mode. So I'll turn on the controller and I can go over to offline system update. I'll select that. And as you can see, that now says it's updating the console. So this is now going to partition and format the SSD and copy all of the Xbox system software to it from that flash drive. Again, remember, we didn't do any prep work to this SSD at all. Didn't need to format it beforehand. All you need to do is make sure that you've got the full offline software update for the Xbox. So I'm just going to let that run through. And once this is finished, we should hit the first run wizard for the console. Right, about 10 minutes later and we're done. So just turn on the gamepad again. I don't think I need to repair this. Nope. Okay, and I've got to press the start button. There we go. I want English. What variety of English? Oh, United Kingdom, none of that American rubbish. There we go. Choose a connection. Cool, so now it's going to look for wireless networks. I'll connect it to mine. There we go, now we're connected. Where do I live? United Kingdom. Checking for updates. There we go, this is where I wanted to get to. More or less, as soon as we hit the enter in your Xbox username and password, your Microsoft account, that's more or less where I'm done with this because this is a client's console. I just want to make sure that we've downloaded any further updates that are available. Aha, and we don't need an update because we've literally just updated, so we can now continue. Onwards. All right, next you'll sign in with a Microsoft account. So let's go ahead and hit select. And there we go, we're up to the dashboard, which means we're finished with this thing. It's just ready to install some games on it now. So past that, that's everything I've got for you today. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. As always, my support links are down in the description below for my Patreon, my Discord, my Twitter, and my Instagram. Or stick around for the end card, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.